Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov Chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So today we are continuing with the middle game strategies and middle game plannings, again with this recognition of common pawn structures and again with this so-called Boleslavsky wall. Let's remind us again about this Boleslavsky wall pawn structure. So the most important thing is that we have here this c6 and d6. These three pawns. It doesn't have to be necessary a fianchetto here. The pawn can also be here on g7. As said, the most important thing is these two pawns here on c6 and d6. So the good thing about the Boleslavsky wall, of course, from black's perspective, is a very nice restriction of this e4, e5, d5, c5, and b5 square, so this knight cannot jump on these very active squares. But of course here we have the problem of this d6 pawn. So as said, it doesn't have to be always a necessary weakness, but in long terms it could be. If you don't play accurate, well, you could really lose with this Boleslavsky wall setup. So let's again also remind us what can be the ideas while playing with the Boleslavsky wall. Last time we had this a6 b5 pawn breakthrough here with in a Garry Kasparov game. Today we'll search for this potential d5 pawn breakthrough, which is also a common motif in this Boleslavsky wall setup by white. So let's see now a very instructive game. It was played by Jan Gustafsson against Vladimir Kramnik. Here you see, as said, we are also sometimes aiming on this e4 and c4 weakness, which could be a weakness in white's camp. So that's why here first Vladimir Kramnik played this rook on e8 idea in order to force white to do something, and here white decides to play f3. It is similar to this Moroxy bind setup. So we have now the Boleslavsky wall against this Moroxy setup, and here we have now already the possibility to get this d5 pawn breakthrough. So d5 is now really important move, because we don't want white to have this very strong central control with his pawns. The position has to be cleared now in the center, and this d5 breakthrough, of course, it's possible. You see, in this last video we did this a6 and b5 preparation, which is not so good here, I think, because well, the bishop, the knight, and this pawn and this knight also, they're all aiming on this b5. So I think this b5 is a little bit too slow. So here you see we use this this connection between the queen and this d6, because this knight is now on d4, and it's possible here now to immediately to play the move d5. So d5, very strong play by Vladimir Kramnik. We have c takes d5, knight takes on d5. Of course, you cannot take with the pawn because the bishop is hanging on e3. So that's why knight takes on d5. We have c takes d5, and now rook on c1. a5. Now Kramnik plays on the queenside attack. He wants of course white to take the pawn on d5, because of course then the bishop is hanging. But if bishop comes maybe here on f2, we would love again white to take on d5, because we want to get our queen with in the game with the tempo, and it's really important here to use any tempo as you can get, because now the position is really dynamic in the center, and as you know, it's all about tempos, and we don't want to lose any. So here queen on b3 was played. Now you see white is really challenging now white's black center. Here a4 was played, queen takes on d5, queen takes on d5, e takes d5. So far it's not possible to take out the bishop on e3, because this c8 bishop is hanging. So here Kramnik played a3 first, we have b3, and now knight on c6, cutting out the attack from the rook on the bishop. So that's why knight on c2 was played, and now Kramnik finds a very nice move, rook takes on e3. See, he sacrifices the rook for the exchange. Knight takes on e3, we have the knight on b4, and now we are aiming on this very weak a2 pawn. Here rook on c4 was played, knight takes on a2, we have rook on a4, rook takes on a4, b takes on a4, and now of course bishop on d4. King on f2, we have knight on b4, preparing now a2 and then a1 with the promotion, so that's why rook on c8 was played, and here Kramnik played a2 anyway, although white has this in between check, rook on c8, but now king on g7, and there's no way that white can stop this pawn from promotion. Here of course rook on c1 has to be played, but now knight on d5 again with the pinning idea, and the problem is that white cannot attack this pawn from this a1 square, because the bishop is of course covering it. In the next move we'll simply take out the knight, so here rook on d1 was played, but now knight takes on e3, and in this position Jan Gustafsson resigned, because again we have the possibility to play knight on c2 and then promotion on a1, and the black will simply continue the game with one piece up. So let's see now another game. It's a game between Oystein Danevig and Yevgeny Vladimirov. Here Yevgeny Vladimirov with the black pieces, and here white tried knight on c2 in order to prevent this d5, but that's always a problem from white's perspective when he plays against this Boleslavsky wall. You see, we have already very nice attack through the e-file, and it meets with this idea when white hasn't castled so far that this d5 pawn breakthrough is possible. So here white will black will give up a pawn, but in order to get some activity. So as I said, sometimes this d6 pawn can be sacrificed in this Boleslavsky wall. Okay, we will sacrifice it now on this d5, but it's one of the main ideas while playing with the Boleslavsky wall, and I think you should really be familiar with it, because this d5 pawn breakthrough, it's also a common tactical motif, tactical pawn breakthrough here in the middle game, and I think here it's possible, although we will be a pawn down, but this bishop on e3 could be a target in a couple of moves. So d5, c takes d5, c takes d5, e takes d5. Now bishop on f5, we have bishop on f2, now knight on h5. We have now the target here on this f4 square, which is really now our weakness in white's position. Castling, queen on g5. You see now the queen and the knight, after the knight comes here on f4, will be really dancing around white's king, so white's king is really under fire here. Bishop on b5, knight on d7 was played, knight on e4, we have rook takes on e4, again a rook sacrifice by black, f takes e4, bishop takes on e4, now we have a checkmate threat on g2, bishop on g3, knight takes on g3, h takes g3, now bishop takes on c2, queen takes on c2, but now bishop on d4. Very strong move, because now the rook has to cover the f2, because if you move your king you'll get checkmated on the h file, so that's why rook on f2 was played. Knight on f6, we have bishop on e2, now of course queen on g3, bishop on f3, now the rook comes on this open file, rook on e8, rook on d1, bishop on b6, a4 and a5. We have f5 by white, the bishop takes on a5, queen on c8, king on g7, and now queen on h3, but of course black is not interested to trade off some pieces. G4, knight on e4, rook on e2, but now knight on g5, and in this position white resigned, because this f3 is hanging. If you take the rook first, of course we will take first the queen with the check. So let's go back here after knight on c2. As said, this d5 pawn breakthrough, you have to be familiar with it if you're playing this Boleslavsky ball as black. I think it's the main idea in these types of setups. It's sometimes hard to get this thing working, but you see in this position white delayed the castle a little bit, and I think it's perfectly fine to give up a pawn here in order to get some activity in the middle game. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. We will continue, of course, with this Boleslavsky wall in this middle game planning and middle game strategies from my Basics in Chess series, but in the next continuation we will try this f5 pawn breakthrough, which is also main idea while playing with this Boleslavsky wall. And okay, you can also watch my previous videos from this middle game strategies, also with this recognition of common pawn structures, and you can also watch my chess tactics and chess puzzles if you want to have a better understanding about this possible tactical motifs that can happen in a chess game. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.